Well, for more on Sunday's vote and what the outcome will mean for France's economy, I spoke with freelance journalist Stefan de Vries. He began by giving us some insight into how the French are feeling heading into this weekend's runoff.
It has been a very long and surprising campaign. I think a lot of French people are, well, they just have had enough of all the political talk and they want to get over it. They want to elect their new president. And I think a lot of the French people will be very happy on Monday morning that this campaign is now finally over. We've seen that this week at the debate, the last debate between the two candidates. The ratings were very bad, actually. It was the debate in French history that was the least watched. So that gives you an impression that the French are, well, I think, a little bit fed up with politics nowadays.
Let's look at some of the economic issues that are most important to them. What are they and how do the candidates plan to address them?
Well, of course, the most important problem in France is the unemployment. The unemployment rate has been hovering around 9–10% for many, many years now. And France is almost the only country in the European Union where unemployment is still going up. All the other countries, apart from 2 or 3 others, succeeded in fighting unemployment. It's going down for many months now, for many years already. So the unemployment is really the most important issue. Then, of course, there's the question of growth, which is, well, lagging behind. France is doing not very badly, but it's lagging behind the other European economies. Growth is around 1% last year. So these are the two main topics, and the two candidates have completely different solutions for this problem. Marine Le Pen thinks that by giving the country back its national factories, national products, a lot of import tariffs, basically closing the country down, this is the way she wants to protect the French workers. So everything that's international is basically seen as a threat by Marine Le Pen. Whereas Emmanuel Macron has a different view of the world. He thinks international trade is the solution. He wants to open up the markets. He wants to go many steps further with the European integration. And he also believes that the market economy is well, basically the model that France should adhere to. And he says that he will create enough jobs to get the unemployment down to 7% within the next 5 years. So these are two completely different visions of the world. Marine Le Pen, a very closed worldview, whereas Emmanuel Macron sees the world as an open opportunity.
So a lot of people are wondering then, what's at stake for the EU regardless of the outcome?
Well, of course, the European Union was an important topic during the debates and during the campaign. Marine Le Pen wants to get out. She wants to get rid of the euro as well, although she has changed her stance the last couple of days because many opinion polls show that the French actually want to keep the euro. About 2/3 of the French population, they want to keep the euro. They also want to stay in the European Union. So Marine Le Pen realized that this was not a very popular statement and that she was not going to win any more voters if she was going to continue to say that she wants to leave the European Union. Now, Emmanuel Macron just wants something completely different. He wants to get a step further with the European integration. As we've seen for the last 10 years, the Franco-German friendship, the Franco-German couple, as they are often called, was not really working that well, because if these two countries agree on something, then probably the rest of the European Union will follow. That's one of the reasons that the last 10 years the European Union was not doing very well. Now, Emmanuel Macron, he wants to go further. He's really a very outspoken pro-European, which is pretty rare for French politicians. And during his meetings, you saw a lot of European flags. That's probably the only political meetings in Europe where you see them nowadays, the European flags. So this guy is really pro-Europe and he wants to go further. How he would like to do that, that's not really clear, but at least he will propose something very concrete within the next couple of months to get further with European integration.
Now, this has really been one of the most contentious and divisive elections that we've seen in France for decades. So you have these candidates, very starkly different visions for the future of France. Where does France go then after Sunday's vote, being that it's been so divisive in the run-up?
As we have seen, the traditional parties have been completely wiped out, the socialists and the conservatives. They've been ruling this country for almost over half a century. They were not able to bring the unemployment now down. And the French, they chose 2 weeks ago for two new faces, relatively new faces. Of course, Marine Le Pen of the Front National. She more or less inherited the party of her father. And then Emmanuel Macron, who was basically unknown 2 years ago, and he, within a year, he started his own movement, became a big success. But the question is, we now have two faces. One of them will win this Sunday, so there will be a new person in French politics. But the question is, will this new person also apply new politics, or will he or she simply implement and repeat the same mistakes that have been made for the last 30 years? So this is the big question. And since Emmanuel Macron, who is leading in the polls now, is relatively unknown, it's not really sure whether he is really new or that he's just a new face with all politics.